Back in 2013, Hakeem and Brian of Create Originals, along with Billy O'Neill, had the idea to create an aggressive specific suspension frame. At the time, there was existing technology through physics by Tom Heiser, but these frames utilized existing patented technology through a company called Sprung. And that's why if you look closely on the physics frames, you'll see a little spring right above the H block. That's actually the logo of the roller hockey company Sprung. Create Originals wanted to make a frame that was more specific to the needs of aggressive skaters and hopefully lighter as well. They came up with the custom ride system that utilizes urethane bushings inside the frame spacers that actually act as shock absorbers. You could swap out different hardnesses depending on what kind of performance you wanted. You could do all kinds of things. You can ride them flat, anti, you can ride them high-low. So the customization was near infinite for any kind of skating you could ever want to do. They started a Kickstarter that actually broke the record in our industry for amount of money raised, raising over $37,000. But unfortunately, early on, they found big quality issues with the Chinese manufacturer they were using. And through some clever sort of ways, they got their molds over here to the United States where they could more closely monitor the quality of the frames. And that brings us to today, where I want to give a big shout out to Ryan, aka RYGRR, who reached out and asked me if I would like to try out his Create Originals CRS frames. So that's what we're going to do today. I have them set up with all of the 90A bushings in here, the 90A frame spacers, which is kind of like their all-around sort of general purpose suspension ride. I have them set up on the Richie Eisler Looney Zoom wheels here, riding flat. I am typically an anti-rocker skater, but I want the full experience on riding flat on these today and see how they feel. So thank you again, Ryan, for sending me these frames. We're going to head out to the park and try out for the first time, at least for me, the custom ride system from Create Originals and see how they perform. Stay tuned.
God fucking damn it.
A few minutes later.
Okay, first session done on the Create Originals Custom Ride System CRS Frames. Okay, so overall, what did I think? Well, it's a little bit tough. So really, first thing, I was riding around, skating around, and just getting a feel for the frames, and they felt good. Didn't feel anything too crazy. Really just getting back used to riding flat, to be honest, because I've been riding anti-rocker quite a bit lately. And so just getting used to the really quick turns. I don't know if the frames are any different than some of the other flat frames I've really been riding in terms of wheelbase, to be honest with you, but the turning felt very pronounced even for a flat frame. So there was that. So I spent most of the first part of the session just getting used to that, you know, and I tried to really do some pretty good impact skating, just flying up out of the quarter pipe and landing and trying to get a real gauge for the compression, I guess the shock resistance of the 90A bushings, kind of the frame sliders here, the urethane frame sliders. And so you'll see on this one, I mentioned in the beginning of this video that the polyurethane here, or the urethane, is getting older. And so, I mean, it's basically a decade old. And so you can see that these gray 90A urethane sort of bushings here kind of smushed up quite a bit. And I reached out to Brian, kind of talked to him about like what happened with this. It's really just a matter of the urethane being old. I think, like I said in the beginning of this video, like urethane doesn't necessarily get better with age. That gives the wheel a little bit of play, up and down play. So some of the landings may have sounded a little clacky-ish. Just do that urethane. I do have the black and white urethane, but unfortunately, because I don't have enough. I don't have, 2, 4, 6, 8. I don't have 16. I think I just have 8 of each of the white and black. I think this will probably be it, because I really don't want to cause any more damage to any of Ryan's kind of bushings here, whether they be white being the softer durometer and black being, I think black is 100A. As far as grinding though, I mean, everything else, they slid fantastic. Brian was mentioning when I talked to him that this groove is the same groove, if I'm not mistaken anyway, from the OG, the Create Originals OG frames. So it might be hard to tell, but it's the same groove, it's just a taller frame. So that same wonderful lock-in, that same great boot down. I will say actually, because they're just slightly taller, I was struggling a little bit with the like front torques. Again, that's part of just grooving these in and getting used to them, right? Because I've been skating anti-rocker a lot. Every now and then I'll put flat on for a video, but for the most part, I am a dirty, nasty anti-rocker skater. So it's a little bit taller. It took me a little bit, all the groove tricks felt good, but it was just the front torque that was giving me a little bit of trouble. You just finding that sweet spot, and again, grooving them in. But overall, I think it's a really cool idea. It's just unfortunate that didn't really get to, get the full experience, I think, because of this urethane. But I am excited to see, I know Create is still working on perfecting this design, and they're working diligently. They haven't given up on the CRS design for sure. So I'm really excited to see, what happens in the future with the custom ride system here. So again, thanks Ryan for letting me use these. I appreciate it. And rollerbooters, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. I will see you on the next video. Take care.